Welcome back to Immortal Behaviour, Magic Round edition as the game heads to Brisbane for all 8 games of footy. It's an absolute ripping weekend. Joey Johns, you're pumped for it?
I'm pumped.
You're making notes already?
Yeah.
He's in business mode here.
I'm in business mode.
Plenty coming up on today's show. Have the Warriors made the right call by letting Luke Metcalf test himself on the open market? We'll also get Joey's thoughts on the maybe not so mighty Maroons. Is that how you want to put it? That's it. But the big news that has got everybody in rugby league speaking over the last 24 hours, Ivan Cleary's decision to leave the Panthers at the end of 2027. Your initial reaction?
Probably surprised when I first heard, but then sitting back 4 in a row. Look, he's climbed Everest 4 times. Only so many times you want to climb Everest. Ivan will be mid-50s by that stage. And look, he's achieved everything there is as a club coach. Whether there's ambitions to coach rep footy, maybe. But I just think he's got a sense of timing. The club's set up in a great system there. We know how many juniors they produce, and maybe he's had enough. It takes a lot out of you, I'd imagine, to be a first grade coach. Coaching coordinator, where he sits above it all, less stress, less time. Spoke about spending time with the family, with his wife and lifestyle. So good luck to him.
Yeah,
it's incredible what he's done.
So he said he's been offered an advisory role with the club in terms of leadership. I think Penrith would love to hold on to him in any capacity, because before the news was, or he spoke, a lot of people thought, like, where's he going to go?
Yeah.
What's he going to do?
Yeah.
But he kind of shut that down straight away. On the rep footy, we've seen him around the Blues side a couple of times in the back of a coach's box.
Freddie got him in.
Yep. Why would Ivan suit?
What's
Origin?
Cool demeanour. He's so cool under pressure. And look, when a coach is, like a cat in a hot tin roof, it can go onto the players. Ivan's so cool under pressure. He'd handle it. He's got a great relationship with most of the players, I'd imagine. Big respect from the players. So I think Laurie's off this year, isn't it? Laurie's last year, maybe? Yeah, that might be an option for Ivan. Or does he want to do it? And maybe he doesn't want to do it. Maybe he's just had enough. It's all about lifestyle now. I know he's got a great block of land up there on the northern beaches. If you're interested in selling it, Ivan, Freddie will buy it. He owns half the northern beaches.
And then you'll rent it.
Yeah, I'll rent it. No, I don't want to be travelling too far. But I think the big thing, he spoke about lifestyle. He spoke about his wife. The commitment the family has to do, and especially his wife. She'd be the wife, she'd be a counsellor, she'd be a shoulder to lean on. It's an incredible commitment, not only for Ivan, but the whole family. So, is that enough? Unselfish decision.
What about for the club in terms of retaining all of their big names that are off contract, namely Nathan? Because Nathan has spoken in depth about his desire to obviously play alongside or under Ivan, but now Ivan's stepping back.
Yeah. Well, it's a big one. If you have a look at Wayne Bennett, when Wayne Bennett has left clubs, notably St George Illawarra, they sort of dipped. When he left Newcastle, there was a big dip. Who took over for him at the Broncos?
Oh, the Bronx when Anthony Seibold was
there. So it's like following Bradman in the bat, really. So Peter Wallace is there, great guy. Peter Wallace, he's been in the system for far out, maybe 10 years as a player and as a coach. So I imagine not too much will change. He'll want to put his own sort of philosophies in place, but it'll be a challenge for Peter Wallace for sure. But they've got that senior group, but also that senior group's coming to the end. When you look at the Isaiah Yeo and Dylan Edwards and Liam Martin, these guys might take some big money to go to Perth or PNG. So we'll soon see, but it's going to be a big job for Peter Wallace, but wish him well.
What a fascinating time we have ahead of us, because if a lot of those stars hit the open market in November 1, it's like other teams will be trying to land most of them.
Well, we keep hearing about Brian To'o maybe going to PNG with his great mate Jerome Luai. And then there was big mail about Liam Martin going there. I think Isaiah...
Mitch Kenny, they're really keen on.
Isaiah Yeo even said publicly in a press conference about the pot of gold there to leave Penrith. So it's an interesting time out there at the foot of the mountains.
And Nathan?
No, Nathan will stay. I can only see him being a one-club man. I think more interest would be go to England. You know, we
Yeah.
know. Is he engaged? Is he engaged to Mary Fowler? No.
I'm
Maybe
not good on my entertainment news.
Yeah, whether there's an option for rugby union in Europe or playing in the Super League over there. I know my friend Simon Moran from Warrington, who owns Warrington, would move heaven and earth and hell and whatever else to get Nathan there. He's done everything here.
Yep.
We know that. And this year, if he owns Origin, then that's ticked off. So, don't know. We'll soon see.
All right, so Nathan currently on contract with the Panthers
When's
until
he
the
on?
end of 2027. So November 1, he can hit the open market for 28 and beyond.
Well, we know contracts are like these.
Obviously, Peter Wallace takes over from 2028. We've seen another great assistant of Ivan's have success over with the Warriors. So they're flying under Andrew Webster. But the big question now is, has the club made the right decision to allow Luke Metcalf, the star of last year, test his value on the open market and potentially leave at the end of this season, or at the expense of keeping Tanner Boyd?
Well, it's been a strong decision, a strong stance by the Warriors, and there was a bit of mail the last couple of weeks that he was agitating to find out where he sits in the pecking order. I still think Tanner Boyd and Metcalf would go well together as a half 5'8". But whether Luke wants to wear the number 7, he's a highly ambitious young man. I've spoken to him a few times about his career, and he's very driven, which is a real plus. And he wants to be the main singer. So if they, we don't know what's the conversations behind closed doors.
Yep.
Whether they said, look, Tanner Boyd's our 7 moving forward, we see you as a 5'8", and he might have said, no, I don't see myself as a 5'8". But there's going to be clubs lining up to sign him.
What would you do? Who would you have as your 7? If you were to back one player in, Tanner Boyd or Luke Metcalf, given what you saw from Metcalf before his ACL last year and what you've seen.
Metcalf. Yeah. Before injury, fully fit, I'd go Metcalf at 7. It depends how you play.
Yep.
But
why him over?
Fully fit, I think his game management's a little bit better. And saying this, his running game's probably a little bit better than Tanner Boyd, or Tanner Boyd's running game. It's improved out of sight. I just think Luke Metcalf at his very best. I'd love to see him there and work it out at 7 and 6.
I can't see why. Like again, I'm not an inside the club. I can't see why they.
We don't know what's coming through under there.
Yeah.
They got their pathways sorted. Look at the young players coming through there at the Warriors. Jet Cleary's there. Whether they see Jet, Nathan's brother, as a long-term 5'8" or halfback, I don't really know. But he's obviously made his decision. Is it? They'll release him immediately.
Potentially.
We got to say, if it's a strong decision by the Warriors.
Yeah.
Just say, well, if you're not all in, then we'll let you go.
Okay.
But then the clubs are going to line up.
Yeah. So
to buy him.
who needs Luke Metcalf most?
Well, the obvious ones, without thinking too much into it, are the Dogs and St George Illawarra. They're the two I can sort of see off the top of my head. The Dogs, we all know the saga's been going on with Lockie Galvin and Mitch Woods, the young prodigy. They've gone all in for. He's got that hamstring problem. So Luke Metcalf, probably the Dogs for sure. And then, well, where does that leave Matt Burton? Does Matt Burton get pushed out? There's talk about Matt Burton going to Perth. So watch this space.
And the Dragons. If you're Luke Metcalf, do you have hesitation about joining the Dragons because of the state of the club and not knowing who the coach is going to be?
Who's the coach going to be? First thing, if you're a halfback, you go in. The first question is how are we playing, and the other one is who are my front rowers. You want the big boys up front. If you go to the Bulldogs, it's pretty clear what's going on and who's the forward pack in front. I'd say the Dogs will be the one if it all happens, and if the pieces of the jigsaw are shuffled around, I'd say the Dogs. Rugby League, what a soap opera.
We'll wait and see where Gus, how he works his magic.
If anyone can do it, Gus can do it.
The Wars this year, in terms of them as a footy side, 4th best attack, but crucially the 2nd best defence. How has Andrew Webster turned the Warriors into this real force?
Well, they've always been that flamboyant team, and we've loved the way they play, but he's put a real hard edge in. I'd imagine the stats, I'd imagine the competition, they'd be leading completion rates. So they complete high, which they don't give the opposition easy field position. They're Their discipline is first class, which means they're not legging up teams, once again given a cheap field position, which means they don't beat themselves. And now this is the formula Wayne Bennett uses. Wayne Bennett, coming out of trouble, off your own, it's very simple, but he likes them to complete upwards of 95% coming out of there. Kick long, build the game, don't give away penalties. And if you can do that, then you go a long way of winning. I think that's the Warriors' blueprint. They're completing, they're not making stupid errors, they're kicking games solid, and they're not giving away cheap penalties when teams are coming out of trouble.
So if Penrith at the top, and you've got the likes of Brisbane and
teams to beat,
beat, or those top, like it's the Warriors have.
So you got off the top of my head, once again, you got Penrith, you got the Roosters, you got Brisbane. They're high flying. They're in the next sort of.
So the Warriors in the next run.
Yeah.
Can they take the step to be in that top run? And what do they have to? What do you have to see from them between now and the business end?
Find another gear, which has been the knock on a few clubs. Obviously Cronulla, that's the knock on them. They haven't got another gear, and then because you look at Cronulla, who's their big X factor player? You know, they haven't got a Munster, they haven't got a Nathan, they haven't got a Reece Walsh. One of these players that just goes. You know, Reece Walsh last year in the semi-finals, he won it for him. He won games single-handedly for him. So the Warriors, which player is going to really stand up? Which player in the spine is going to say, get on my back, I'm going to win you this big game? I don't really know. So that's going to be the challenge for the Warriors. Come September, when it goes up a gear, have they got another gear in them? If they're playing Penrith and it's the 70th minute and it's 22 all, who's going to get the ball and win it for them? Because I know he's going to do it for Penrith.
Yep.
I know he's going to do it for the Roosters. I know he's going to do it for Brisbane. The question is, who's going to do it for the Warriors?
Hopefully we'll answer that before
I'd love
the
to
end of
see
the
him
year.
win it. I'd love to see him win.
Eyes forward, we've got the Bears coming in, we've got the Chiefs coming in. Do you want to see a 20th team come in in New Zealand? Is it time?
I've been very vocal the last couple of years. I thought the next team before Perth and before PNG should have been a team out of Christchurch. Sport's about rivalry. You've got big brother, little brother, North Island, South Island. Think about how many players are playing the game, how many players we bring to the NRL from New Zealand. I know a fair chunk are out of that South Auckland area. But everything's there. The facilities are all there down there at Christchurch. They've got a new stadium. Hell of a lot of, there's rugby union schools, but you can tap into that.
Yep.
We're seeing the rise of rugby league in New Zealand. The All Blacks will always be there, but at domestic,
in terms of super rugby level, the NRL is
super rugby level, the male is rugby league has gone past it. So there's a groundswell of support, and with the quicker ruck, the quicker game, it suits the Polynesian players to express their skills and athleticism. Yeah, I would have had Christchurch in front of the other two.
All right, so hopefully they're the next team 20.
The worrying thing is, how are we going to get more players? That's the worrying thing. I think the gap between the very top and the very bottom, it's getting further apart.
You ready to put on the boots again?
No.
I know. I saw Benji with a chat with Sean Johnson the other day, and he said when both his halves went down in the game, he said, I thought to myself for a second, geez, could I go on?
Well, I was talking to Jerome Luai. He said in the off-season a couple of times in scrimmage, Benji's got on there and just carved him. Yeah. They were all looking at each other. Benji could still play. Sean Johnson could still play. Just defence, maybe not tackling.
Warriors, Broncos, talk about a Sunday special at Magic Round, 3 p.m coverage on 9. Who wins and why?
I like the Warriors in this one. Look, I spoke before, if you're a halfback going to a club, what's the first thing you're asking? Who are my front rowers? No Payne, no Corey Jensen. Gajetski's been playing there, he's out. So they're struggling for middle forwards. If you haven't got your big boys in the middle, it makes it incredibly difficult. The Warriors, for me, coming off the bye, they play that, as I said, mistake-free football. They don't beat themselves. Magic Round, last year, they had huge support and they beat Penrith.
Yeah.
They love Magic Round.
They're specials at Magic Round. The crowd there, they love them.
This is going to be a cracking. There's some games this weekend which are out of this world. The game I can't wait for is South Sydney Dolphins. That is going to... last two games they've played, they've scored upwards of 70 points in both. So.
Just a shootout. Shootout at Suncorp.
All-out shootout.
So Rabbitohs Dolphins, our Friday night footy match from 7:30.
Yeah.
Who wins that?
Dolphins.
Upset the Rabbits?
Yep.
Even if Latrell's back?
Even Latrell's back. They got some key players out. And Sharks were awful last week. And look, Cody put a clinic on. But I just get the feeling the way the Dolphins play and the speed of their play, the groundswell of support up there, their backline's incredible. Izzy Katoa v Cody Walker. I would pay $1,000 to go watch them play live. And I get paid to do it and go work. How lucky am I? I'll really like the Dolphins in this one.
All right, let's turn our attention to Origin, and we're going to talk about your least liked team in history, the Queensland Maroons.
Yep. Nothing personal.
No Tom Dearden.
Yes.
So, which Queensland halves pairing scares you the most?
Sam Walker and Munster. Look, we don't know how it's going to be officiated this year. If they don't change it, the quicker ruck, more of those, it's going to be an open Origin. So to win it, in these big games, you've got to score upwards of 30 points. More than 20, 24 points, maybe even 30 to win a big game. Who provides that? Munster and Sam Walker. So, look, that's who I'd be going with. I can't believe I'm sort of tipping into Queensland. The other option, I think DCE, he would do a job, but do they want to go back to the well? Let's talk of Jake Clifford, bigger body, good kicking game. He'd do a job there. Talk of Kalen playing halfback, it's laughable. If they pick him, I hope they pick him. Because Munster can't put a game plan on. It'd be all out run, but to win an Origin, you got to earn the right and you got to build the game. The first.
So you hope, from a Blues perspective, they play Kalen and Cam Munster in the halves.
So Kalen 2 weeks ago against Latrell with the game on the line. Latrell gets the ball and running down the left sideline. Kalen comes in for a right shoulder tackle. He puts his head like that. Latrell goes douche. Now a few years ago, dig it up. They played at Leichhardt. This is 3, 4, 5 years ago. This is when the Knights were experimenting with Kalen playing 5'8". Stupid. I said to him too at the time, "Are you kidding me?" He went in for a tackle. I still remember it. It was right in front of the combine. It's right on the halfway line. On the side they run out, on the western side, he went into a tackle like that. And someone went, collided with his head or hit his shoulder, and just Kalen was snoring. And defending on an edge is a lot different to defending in the middle. Now he went on in Origin in 2019, he went on as middle forward. But defending in the middle is easier than defending on an edge, because on an edge you're not protected by players either side and you've got back rowers coming at you. So your tackle technique has to be perfect. Kalen has played fullback his whole life. There's flaws in the way he defends. If they pick him at Origin and they'll pick him, Munster plays on the left, on the right he's going to be defending against players like Hudson Young, Latrell Mitchell. For the Knights' sake, don't pick him at halfback. For New South Wales, pick him at halfback.
Fullback then, is Walsh your fullback over Ponga?
No, I got Walsh. And Kalen's on the bench. Ben Hunt's still my 14, but Kalen's there. And once again, people are going to go, what are you talking about? Defending. But defending in the middle, and you can hide in the middle at marker, to defending on an edge is very different. So, I don't know where they put him on. He has to be in the 17. A big decision for Billy. Look,
now it's 19. He doesn't have to play. He can be that X Factor player like a Tolu Cole.
If someone said to me, right, you got to pick one, you got to sign one. Fully fit, at the top of their game, you got to sign a fullback. I'd sign Kalen over Reece Walsh. So Billy might make the big call and go with Kalen at 1 and put Reece on that extended bench. But I think you'll have him in the 17 somewhere. I think Reece will start and Ben Hunt will be 14 and Kalen will be somewhere there. And how he uses him, I don't know. But he terrifies me. Coming on after 30 minutes when everyone's tired and quicker ruck. He's an unbelievable player, Kalen.
Great, tough choice for Billy to have those two at your disposal.
Well, it's probably a good headache to have.
What about?
I'd rather have two than none.
What about your back line for Queensland in terms of Val Holmes out of form? Doesn't look like he'll be there.
Val, he's
Xavier Coates, injury.
Achilles, no chance.
So who comes in for those players who have been so solid in the last 4 or 5
Well,
years?
the simple one is Cobbo. Cobbo will be one winger. I think the other one will be Murray Tuolangi. He hasn't played too much this year, Murray, but and the centres, they sort of pick himself. Robert Toyer on the right, Hemiso on the left. Now I've made some players on the periphery there. Philip Sami, maybe, as a winger, if something happens to Cobbo and Tuolangi. Now the centres, they got some players to pick. Dane Gagai, Jackson Purdue, AJ Brimson, Jojo Fafita has been talked. If they went with any of those players, for whatever happens, if Hemiso or Robert Toyer get injured, out of those I'd have Gagai the next in, and then I'd have Jackson Purdue as the next after Gagai, and then Jojo Fafita, then Brimson. So if anything happened to Hemiso or Toa, I think he'd go back with Gagai. Gagai is one of those Origin players.
Superman.
He'd be going like a busted. Then all of a sudden he puts that maroon jersey on, turns into the second coming of Gene Miles.
Some chat about Billy's babies. So you've rattled off some names there.
Yeah.
Like, is it time to do it?
Finay Fuiaki, he'll be in the 17 for sure. I'd start him on the right once again. Don't listen to me. Helam Lukey, I think he's a huge chance, although they both play on the right side. But if I had to tick between both, I'd be going Finay Fuiaki and Helam Lukey somewhere in the 19. Max Plath, he's the next 14 after Ben Hunt. I think Ben Hunt will still be there. Max Plath, he's an Origin player. Tough as that. Couldn't hurt him with the cricket bat. Tanner Boyd, big jumper class. 18 months ago he was sort of in and out of first grade. So too big a jumper class at the moment. Ezra, for sure. Well, he's got to improve what he did last week. Sammy Walker, as I said, is my halfback. Purdue will be there one day. Cooper Bye will be there one day. They got 3 or 4 years of development before they get there. So the players out of all those who would be there, I think Finay Fuiaki will be there. I think Helam Luka will be thereabouts, and Sam Walker. But the two I think will be in the starting 13 will be Sam Walker and Finay Fuiaki on the right side.
Scary stuff when you got names like that missing.
Finay Fuiaki, no one runs harder than him in the competition. He reminds me of Steve Simpson, the way he runs. And the other thing, he plays big minutes. He's got a big motor for, Polynesian boys usually sort of knock right up. He plays big minutes. Finay Fuiaki, I hope I pronounced that right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to the family if I've done that wrong.
No.
He's a gun.
Flying.
He's a gun.
Just on Origin, and so first time we've got Magic Round going into Origin. It's a big weekend for all players and everyone's up there. How much, especially for those guys that haven't played Origin before, how much is Origin on their minds going into their last game of club footy?
100% it's on your mind.
In terms of performance or injury?
Both. Don't get suspended. You're probably thinking that. But once you put a foot on the sideline to run out, it's all gone. But in the build-up, you're thinking about it for sure. There's times when you're playing your last game before Origin, and you're thinking about it. Don't get injured. Don't get suspended. Don't spray a ref. Don't scream at a touch judge. Don't spit the dummy. You're an idiot.
Does it become easier the more times you play Origin?
Yeah, for sure. When you're young, you're so nervous going into big games like Origins because it's the great unknown and it's that little man on your shoulder saying, are you ready? Are you ready for this? My first 2 Origins, I thought I was ready and I got out there, I was like, what is this game? And so it takes you a while to get used to it, but once you get used to it and get your head around it, there's no better challenge in the game.
In terms of, you said there, so once a player runs out, the thoughts of Origin are gone?
Gone.
Say if you know that, say you think you might be neck and neck with a player, is there any chance that you'll get on the field and try and overplay your hand to try and impress selectors?
For sure. Yeah, there's that element of that. But once again, it's all in the build-up, it's all in your head, but once you run on the field, it's all gone.
All right, we're in for a treat on 9 because we get an extra game of footy at Magic Round. Another game.
We got the best games. So we got the women's Thursday night. Friday night, as I said, the Dolphins South game's going to be a shootout, and the Sunday game. And then we've got 2
Warriors
teams.
Broncos, and then we've got the Eels Storm.
Eels Storm, that's intriguing.
After last week, I didn't know who to tip here. So Saturday night footy from 7 p.m. on 9.
Is that a 7 o'clock kickoff?
Or 7:35.
Okay.
So
kick-off, so I'm just trying to think.
of where you're going to be by what time?
9:30.
Lefties?
Yes.
Who wins? Back to the footy. Eels
I
or
think
Storm?
the Storm. Eels, great win last week. Geez, they're a good team, considering the players they got out. Moses got them home. They never looked like winning up there in Townsville last week. Melbourne, I think their big guns will stand up again. Harry Grant last week, he was a 10 out of 10. Far out. He is just an incredible player. You're talking probably the second best hooker of all time, and you know he's not far behind Cameron. So yeah, I reckon Melbourne.
As you said, it all kicks off on Thursday night, tonight, with the Women's Origin live, exclusive and free on 9, 7:30 p.m. Tonight. NRLW wrap for your full preview. Make sure you check it out. Why do the Blues win and wrap up the series on Suncorp turf?
Well, they're second up. The girls went in cold. That was their first game. And I think both teams looked a little bit rusty. But then as the game went on, I thought New South Wales looked far superior in their creativity. I think the loss of Taryn Aiken and also Ali Brigginshaw's really hurt the Queensland team. And I just think second up, fast track up there, big stadium, upwards of 25,000, 30,000. I think New South Wales get it done.
I would expect nothing else from you.
Yeah, well, I'm going to tip them.
Headline of the week moment. Last week, do you remember what it was?
Yes.
It was Young has a big day in Wollongong. Sorry, Dean.
He got 2.
Wrong Young. So Dom Young had 2.
I should have said something about Greg Marshy.
Yeah. Another tick, 2 from 2
Yep.
in the last couple of weeks. This week's Magic Round Monday morning headline will be...
A dolphin pulls a rabbit out of a hat. Bit of Magic Round. Very good.
This is my favourite part of the show each week. Great.
I had something of Kalen, but I'm too much Newcastle bias. It was going to be Kalen puts on the Magic in Brisbane, which he will. Watch that one. That'll be a good game too. But Friday night, do not miss the Dolphins v South Sydney, Katoa v Cody Walker. 2 of my best, 2 of my favourite players. Absolute favourites to watch.
Remember, footy on 9 tonight, Friday night, Saturday night extra, and Sunday afternoon
We
a
get
cracker
paid
with the
extra
Warriors
for
and
Saturday
Broncos.
night. Saturday nights, I'm usually doing my best work.
Well, you
Saturday.
can do it, just delayed by a couple of hours.
Yeah. It's races, footy.
And for all of our footy fans out there, if you see Joey lost in the streets on Saturday night, please send him home in one piece.
I don't see midnight. I got a bit of Cinderella about me these days.
If we see Cinderella losing
Midnight.
without one shoe.
It used to be the other way. It used to be midday. Now it's midnight.
On that note, enjoy your Magic Round, footy fans.
This has been another presentation from Nine's Wide World of Sports.